Euro 2024 is right around the corner, and this is everything you need to know about it. Today we're looking at every group, we're going over the dark horses, the favorites, the players to watch, and some facts that I guarantee you don't know about every single team. Now for the unfamiliar, the two highest ranked teams in every single group, along with the four best ranked third place teams across every group, will move on to the round of 16, and from there, it is single elimination till the final in Berlin. First, let's go over every contender group by group. If there is one nation that you're here for, you want to hear my opinions about them, the timestamps for every single team is down in the description, or you can see them on the timeline here. But we start with Group A, which can be full of surprises, especially with tournament host Germany. With a mix of aging greats and rising superstars, the pressure, just like for every host nation, is really warranted for Germany. Over in the Bundesliga, Bayer Leverkusen's near perfect season put the world on notice, highlighted by the young Florian Wirtz. This attacking midfielder could be the highlight of Germany's next generation. Also watch out for the equally exciting Jamal Musiala and the legendary Toni Kroos, who announced that Euro 2024 will be his last dance before retirement. In a month's time, coach Julian will either be damn near exiled from his country or have his team playing beautiful, tournament-winning football. No in between. If any Scots are listening, let me know how you're feeling for these Euros. Scotland have never made it out of the group stage of this tournament and hasn't even won a game here since 1996. They also have some key players missing like Kieran Tierney and Stuart Armstrong. Still though, with a couple of Premier League staples, I guess Scott McTominay as your striker, and a core group from the Scottish League, do not be so quick to rule these guys out. And it's the same thing with Hungary, who, yeah, doesn't dominate football like they used to, but they may actually be on my short list of dark horses for this tournament. Tactics usually aren't associated with national teams, but under Marco Rossi, Hungary have a distinct playing style which could give them an edge here. They also have a good mix of some highly touted up-and-comers and some under-the-radar gems. Organization is key for this team, and if they can get that right, they can frustrate any side they come up against, even the host Germany. Now just look at the Swiss's recent tournament performances and you would assume they're a sure lock to make it through. But it's just not that simple. A bad end to the World Cup and a rocky qualifying campaign where they finished below Romania highlights that this is a very strange period for the Swiss. Stars of the past like Ricardo Rodriguez and Xherdan Shaqiri just aren't those guys anymore. You can't say the same about Granit Xhaka, just look at the season that he's had this season, but how much does that excite you? What should really excite you is the emergence of youngsters like Zeki Amdouni and Noah Okafor, who I think each can have a breakout tournament. There's a lot of ways that Group A can go, but I'm gonna say Germany first with Hungary second, and Switzerland does well enough to sneak through as well. Group B now, and this is what most people are calling the group of death, and for good reason. Luis de la Fuente is building something with Spain. They've been on this sort of decade-long transition period, and these young stars they have now are just waiting to bloom. The big question is, will this be the tournament where that breakthrough happens, or do they need more time? This team has a super high ceiling with surefire stars like Pedri, Rodri, and Lamine Yamal perhaps, but will their talents in midfield and attack be enough to counteract the weaknesses they have in defense? Because look at these center back options. It's not looking good. And then we got World Cup bronze medalists, Croatia. Such a weird team, this one. Just when you think they're past that prime, over the hill, Luka Modric and co just turn back the clock and this team delivers. Third place at the World Cup was super unexpected, and then they almost won the Nations League. Now, I know these might be famous last words, but I am here to give genuine picks. I do think they're just past their peak now. Also, considering that they usually underperform at the Euros, I would be very surprised if we saw Croatia in the final 8, but should still make it out of this group. The reigning champs is up next, but with a whole new manager and a whole new core of players, Italy is very hard to judge. I always like their chances at big tournaments, even when they have inferior talent. But is their talent this time just too inferior? The striker situation is dire. All of their center backs are either young, unproven, or both, and the entire team from 2021 has taken a step down. Luciano Spalletti is still an amazing coach, just ask the city of Naples, and he can still work his magic eventually with this team, but it just might be too early. And then there's the ugly duckling of the group. Poor Albania. The Balkan nation did superb in qualifying, beating out teams like Poland and the Czech Republic. It's a shame that they got put in such a strong group because they could legitimately put up 3 great performances and end up with 0 points. Star power is few and far between with this side, with my personal favorite being Armando Broja, who is probably desperate for a move out of London this summer. If this team somehow, some way makes it out of this group, the nation of Albania rejoice, because that would be ridiculous. My picks are still backing the favorites though. I think you can sort them in any way, but I'm gonna say Spain first, Italy second, and Croatia still going through in third. Sorry, Albania. Group C now, and we start with the headline of Euro 2020, Denmark. They stole our hearts 3 years ago, making it to the semifinals of this tournament, and then at the World Cup, they fell flat on their face, not making it out of a group that they shared with Australia and Poland. So what to expect from this Denmark team? In this group, I think they can impress. The question is, how far can they go after that? The veterans are still there, and they have a young crop that will add reinforcements to the failure of the 2022 squad. Most notable is Rasmus Højlund, who will enjoy a nice break from the graveyard shift that is the Manchester United attack. I'm excited for the kid to actually enjoy some football for the next month. I'm excited for him to show the world why he is that £70 million man that United rated him for. Absolutely no bias here at all. Plus, with the supporting pieces of Mikael Damsgaard, Mathias Jensen, and Joachim Mæhle, plus even more, don't be surprised to see Denmark making waves once again at the Euros. It's Slovenia's first Euros appearance since the turn of the century, but don't let that fool you. What Slovenia lacks in talent, they make up for in unity and a good system. Just like I was saying with Hungary, they can hurt teams by frustrating them and then counter-attacking using their main man, Benjamin Sesko. The Leipzig forward could be on the move this summer, and a good Euros performance will only boost his chances and his price tag. They're a sneaky dark horse contender, Slovenia. And now we got England, and what to say about England. This team is a surefire favorite to win it all. There's almost no weaknesses anywhere in the squad. Do keep in mind, this isn't their first golden generation, and it could easily go wrong once again. But man, just look at the names here. There's one country maximum that can match this talent here in Germany. I think England fans are struggling more arguing about who should start in this team more than the team is going to have actually making it out of this group. Coach Gareth Southgate is maybe their biggest weakness, although some would say that he's a sneaky strength of theirs. Another fall could see him leave, so keep your eye out on that. It's trophy or bust for England this summer, and there are 0 excuses. Last here is Serbia, and if you looked at their talent on paper, you'd assume Serbia would be just fine. But this team has shown 0 reason for anyone to believe in them. They play a back 5, yet they leak goals for fun. Sure, their attack is pretty good on paper, but it nowhere near makes up for their woes on the other side of the pitch. You never know, at the Euros, defense's bigger stage, they tighten up, goals are fewer and far between, so they could put it all together, but with literally 0 evidence of the score doing that, how am I supposed to back them? That's why I have them finishing bottom of their group, with Slovenia in third but unable to go through. Denmark's a comfy second, and England a comfier first. We move to Group D, where things start getting a little bit harder to predict. First, I'm really excited about this Netherlands team. I'm a little unconvinced with Ronald Koeman, but he's got some new tools for this tournament that should bring fireworks. The player to watch is another Leverkusen product in Jeremy Frimpong. In Coleman's wing-back heavy system, should he play, he'll have the chance to shine even more in 2024. Other names like Xavi Simons, Frankie de Jong, Virgil van Dijk, and many more could put on a good show too. Some areas are lacking, like the potential front line, but beyond that, I'm in love with this team. I am also in love with France's chances to win this tournament. Not much introduction needed on this one. One of, if not the most talented team in Germany this summer. They've got global superstars, they've got a talented defense, they've got up and coming youngsters, they've got a respected manager. This team just has everything. After the disappointment in Qatar and the previous Euros, they should be eager to remind the world what this talent is capable of and I personally am very excited for them. I can't say the same about Poland though. As one of the 3 teams to qualify through the playoffs after a close penalty shootout win over Wales, Poland shouldn't be overlooked so quickly. After all, their talisman Robert Lewandowski still has a little bit more in the tank to give. Add in the ever-reliable Wojciech Szczesny, Arsenal youngster Jakub Kiwior, Peter Zielinski of Napoli, and you have individuals there that can produce some magic. My concern is, do they have the squad, the system, and the morale to really do it at this tournament? Poland's employed 5 managers in the past 4 years, and if you know anything about football, you know that's not a good sign. The importance of a system is ever so important, and that's why I see great things to come for Austria. Coach Ralf Rangnick is an exciting prospect for this team, but especially with captain David Alaba injured, I know it's gonna be tough. Still though, they have talent like Marcel Sabitzer, remember, a disciple of that Rangnick Leipzig style of play. They have Marko Arnautovic, Konrad Laimer, and all with a good setup. Don't forget that Ralf Rangnick just turned down the Bayern job. He's gotta see something in this Austria team. This man is building something here. They could actually make a good run here, and just 6 months ago they did beat Germany. I'm saying France is first in this group, and I was tempted to put Austria second, but I'm gonna say Netherlands second and Austria third going through. Moving on to Group E, where I'm picking a big upset, and that's because Belgium is so confusing. The Red Devils are, yes, past their golden generation, but with city stars like De Bruyne and Doku, Roma's Romelu Lukaku, and Arsenal standout Leandro Trossard, they could still very well make the same waves like they used to. Beyond those names, the Belgian team is a little bit disappointing on paper. Without Thibaut Courtois through injury and through a sort of feud with new coach Domenico Tedesco, who himself is a little unproven at the top level. Keep an eye on Everton's Amadou Onana and Leipzig's Luis Openda, who could both be on the move to bigger clubs this summer. Now, Ukraine is a team that I'm pretty excited about. Another team that made it through a close playoff run. Ukraine is difficult to judge for reasons on and off the field. In these moments of tragedy, it can either dampen your ability to perform or inspire you to take it up to the next level. Just ask Alexander Usyk. I'm not saying I like their chances because their country is at war. I like their chances because I think they could be a good football team. On the field, they have some players who could make waves. Take, for example, the top scorer in the Spanish league this season, Artem Dovbyk. There's also Alexander Zinchenko, Andriy Lunin, Ilya Zabarny. These are all core names that can produce a really good run. And above all of those, look out for Mikhailo Mudrik's first tournament for Ukraine. I expect him to fully remind us why Chelsea broke the bank to get him. All in all, I think Ukraine are going to be must-watch TV this summer, and do not be surprised if they weasel their way into the top 8. Slovakia saw some ease in Euro qualifiers. However, they need to be in top form to reach the knockouts here. The Slovakian team doesn't have many recognizable names, but do remain a solid outfit. The story for Slovakia is their coach, Francesco Calzona. He's particularly interesting because he's one of the only double managers in the world. He's been on the Napoli sidelines since February while still coaching Slovakia. Time will tell if his extra workload has hampered his nation's Euros chances. And speaking of a lack of names, Romania comes into Euro 2024 on top of the world, going unbeaten in qualifying. However, their most recognizable name is Tottenham backup Radu Dragusin. This is one of the teams with the most uncertainty heading into Germany. They can either continue their form and impress everybody, or crumble against more pressure and higher competition. Man, if those last 2 teams were just a little bit better, there's a chance Belgium go home early here. Unfortunately, they're not, so I'm gonna say Ukraine top the group, Belgium second, with Romania and Slovakia heading home. And last but not least is Group F, containing one of the tournament favorites and my second nation, Portugal. The biggest question for this team is the same question that plagued them in Qatar. What is going on with Ronaldo? At 39 years old and after 18 months in Saudi Arabia, that would disqualify just about any other player in the world from starting for their country. But this is Cristiano Ronaldo we're talking about, and new head coach Roberto Martinez has experimented with a few setups, some including him, some not. I couldn't tell you for certain whether Ronaldo would start or not. I'd say maybe 70% that he is. I don't mind if Ronaldo starts or not, so long as we're playing the best possible system, because getting that setup right will be the single most important factor that'll either make or break this tournament for us. Even without their main man, Portugal have the talent to win this tournament. Just look at this team. Even more than in Qatar, even more than 2016, even more than 2004, and the decades prior to that, this is the best Portugal has ever looked on paper, and their expectations should reflect that. On the complete opposite side of the talent spectrum, you have Georgia. Now, if you're cultured, you'll remember Iceland making the quarterfinals of Euro 2016 with a squad of nobodies and a part-time dentist as their manager. Just complete vibe ball. But the point is, what's stopping Georgia from being that team? Complete lack of talent? Oh, yeah, I'll make a point. I have this weird feeling that they'll come to play. Not that I'm predicting them to move on. We'll get to that, but just this weird feeling about them. Obviously, their main man is Napoli star Kvaratskhelia, and beyond that, I'm not gonna lie, it's looking pretty grim. They qualified over Luxembourg and Greece in the Euro playoffs, making this their first ever international tournament. So just the fact that they're here makes this a victory already for Georgians everywhere. The Czechs exceeded expectations at Euro 2020 by making it to the quarterfinal stage. Their squad looks a little bit different now, but the key pieces are still there. Their main man is another Leverkusen star in Patrick Schick, who scored the goal of the tournament last time out. Also, West Ham's dependable Thomas Souček will captain the side with over 70 caps. And beyond that, the squad is full of local stars from the Czech league. We'll see if that sort of chemistry can translate to the international stage, because that could be a massive advantage. Turkey was tipped as everyone's dark horse at Euro 2020, yet they couldn't register a point. Streets won't forget that young team, but now they have more international experience, they have a better squad, and with like 5 million Turks living out in Germany, they damn near have home field advantage. They've got one of the most exciting prospects on the planet with Real Madrid's Arda Güler. I'm telling you, he is the real deal. Pair him with some quality supporting pieces with international experience and former peers who all played together in Turkey, and this team has potential. I might just have to tip them as a dark horse again. I think at the very least, they should be a team that you're desperate to watch. So Group F for me has Portugal first, Turkey second, and the Czech Republic in third and going through. That means Georgia finishes pointless, but hey guys, at least you made it. All right, so that is the preview of every single team. That leaves us with 16 sides going through to the next round and a potential bracket that looks like this. I love this. I can't wait for this. With not really a stronger side of the bracket or another, this means quality matchups from start to finish. I know it sounds cliche, but you don't want to miss any of it. And speaking of don't want to miss, guys, come here. I got some great videos on the way that I know you don't want to miss, especially my upcoming video idea I just know you're going to love, whether you're into this sport or not. If you're seeing me for the first time, you may never see me again unless you just scroll down a little bit and hit that big red button for me. It's free, it helps me out a bunch, and it would give you first access to my next video. And with that shameless self-promo out of the way, let's talk storylines. First, let's talk about the one subject that is the hardest to predict across any tournament. It's the dark horses. Who would have predicted the Czech Republic to make the quarterfinals? Who would have predicted Switzerland to beat France and make it to the quarterfinals? Who would have predicted Denmark in the semifinals? They almost beat England to go to the final at Wembley. The point I'm making is that a big chunk of the favorites that you have the utmost confidence in are probably gonna fail at this tournament. At the end of the day, this is an international tournament where any team can go on a good run for 3 weeks and all of a sudden, they're in the semifinals. So realistically, any of the 24 teams I just talked about could make a dark horse run. But if you were to ask me, these are the 3 teams that I think have the best chance at that. The first is Hungary, who not only I think have some underrated talent, but again, like I talked about earlier, have a really good system in place. Could easily be like the Morocco of this tournament, where they just frustrate teams with their solidity and then hit them on the break. Don't be surprised if or when Hungary upsets a few big fish at this tournament. And then another underdog I got is Ukraine. A playoff team, yes, but they did go on a good streak in qualifying that got them there. That Mudryk-Dovbyk partnership, I think, is just going to be mwah. I'm not giving away my entire bracket in this video, but I actually have Ukraine going to the quarterfinals. And then we have a popular one with Austria. Like I alluded to earlier, Does Ralf Rangnick take the Bayern Munich job if he doesn't have the utmost belief in his country's chances at going far in this tournament? Just like with Hungary, I'm a big believer in their system. I know firsthand, believe me, that Ralf Rangnick will bring out the best in these players. What's unfortunate for them is that they'll probably have to play the winner of either Group B or Group C, which can be Italy, Spain, Croatia, or England. Again though, with that system, with that talent, they have what it takes to cause an upset. Even if a round of 16 exit is on the cards though, that will be more than satisfying for this Austrian team. For the top score picks, I got 5 for you. 3 of them pretty straightforward, 2 of them kind of shots in the dark. Kylian Mbappe is obviously on this list and doesn't need much of an explanation for that. I'm certain that he'll be on a kind of revenge tour this summer. I'm certain that he'll lead his country in goals, and I'm certain that his country will at least make the semi-finals. If you bagged 8 goals at the World Cup, you're gonna be the favorite to win the Golden Boot at the Euros. Like, you know what I mean? It's also why Harry Kane just has to be on this list as well. He's England's biggest goal threat, one of the deadliest scorers in Europe, and England are tipped to go far. Next. A little niche with this one, but I could see Kai Havertz doing well on the score sheet. If he carries on his Arsenal form of the last few months and plays in a similar role, do not be surprised to see him at the top of the list. Really all depends on the system that Nagelsmann employs. And it's the same thing with this next pick. This one's getting a little bit obscure. I'm going Xavi Simons, a very dangerous scorer for Leipzig this past season. And from what I could tell from his league play and from some past games with the national team, he is on penalties. In a team that could go far but is missing that true number 9, the answer to that could be Xavi Simons. He was also only at Leipzig on loan this season, so he's going to be auditioning for a spot on PSG or auditioning for a spot at another big club in Europe. And last but not least, I've mentioned him a few times already, I got Artem Dovbyk on here. A 6'1", powerful, technical, left-footed striker who was just top scorer in La Liga, which I feel like is getting no love. If Ukraine make a deep run like I believe they can, don't be surprised when Artem Dovbyk is topping the goal-scoring charts. He's also plus 5,000 in some places. So make of that info what you will. And then we have breakout players. Think Federico Chiesa at Euro 2020. An underrated baller who's going to shine in front of the world and finally get the plaudits that he deserves. And a big candidate of that for me is Luis Openda, one of the top scorers in the Bundesliga this season, which again, I don't think gets enough love. If he plays for Domenico Tedesco, he can shine in like that second striker kind of role. If he doesn't get selected, I think Charles de Ketelaere will slide in instead, and I really like the look of that guy too. So watch out for the both of them. Now this list wouldn't be complete from me if it didn't have a Ukraine player. I swear I'm not trying to jinx them. I'm a big believer in the young Bournemouth center back Ilya Zabarnyi. Good with the ball at his feet and towering like you want your center back. He could play perfect into the game plan of Ukraine. Then I have another youngster here that's already highly rated over in Italy. I have Matteo Retegui. He could be a future Juve star under new boss Thiago Motta. He's already being linked with them. He actually barely speaks Italian, but he just endured a successful first season in the country with Genoa and could be the solution to Spalletti's striker issues if need be. There's a good chance that he uses Scamacca, and I think there's an even better chance that he uses Raspadori. But whether it's for this tournament or the next World Cup, do not forget the name Matteo Retegui. And I think with that being said, it's about everything. That is everything you, viewer, need to know before going into Euro 2024. Now guys, if you got any questions about this somewhat confusing format, if you want to roast my picks, or if you just want to brag about your own predictions, you can leave all of that down below, and I, as always, will be sure to get to it. If you enjoyed the production, you can give it a like, boost this video in the algorithm, so if I'm lucky, I can replace the cost that I spent on these flags. Of course, guys, I dearly hope you have an amazing time watching the Euros, and until next time, goodbye.